Growing up in the shadow of stepparental favoritism, my story of struggles and resilience. In today's video, we're diving into a topic that resonates with many: favoritism within blended families. As someone who has navigated the complexities of a stepfamily, I can share firsthand experiences that shed light on this often unspoken issue. Growing up, I found myself in a unique family dynamic where love and loyalty were tested by the presence of step-siblings and step-parents. It was a journey filled with ups and downs, laughter and tears, and moments that made me question where I truly belonged. I remember feeling the weight of comparisons, whether it was in the way my parents praised my step-siblings or how certain family members seemed to favor one child over another. These experiences shaped my understanding of family dynamics and the emotional toll favoritism can take on relationships. It's crucial to address these feelings because they can lead to resentment, misunderstandings, and a sense of alienation among family members. By sharing my story, I hope to create a space where others can reflect on their own experiences and recognize that they are not alone in feeling this way. Family dynamics are complex, and favoritism can manifest in subtle ways that often go unnoticed. It's not just about who gets the biggest piece of cake at a birthday party. It can also be about emotional support, attention, and validation. This topic is important because it affects how we relate to one another and can influence the overall harmony within the family unit. By discussing favoritism openly, we can foster healthier relationships and promote understanding among family members. It's essential to acknowledge that every family is unique, and while some may experience overt favoritism, others may face more nuanced challenges. Regardless of the situation, the feelings of inadequacy or exclusion can be deeply felt. So, let's embark on this journey together, exploring the intricacies of blended family dynamics and the impact of favoritism. I encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments, as we create a community where we can learn from one another and support each other in navigating these complex relationships. Together, we can shine a light on favoritism and work towards building stronger, more inclusive family bonds. After my mother remarried, our family dynamic shifted dramatically, introducing new faces and complexities into our lives. Robert, my stepfather, came into the picture with his own daughter, Ashley, who was just a few years younger than me. Initially, I was excited about the prospect of having a new family member, but I soon began to notice subtle signs of favoritism that would change everything. Robert was a kind man, always eager to bond with Ashley, often showering her with praise and attention. He seemed to have an innate ability to connect with her, which left me feeling somewhat sidelined. Linda, my mother, was caught in the middle, trying to balance her love for both her children and her new husband. The living arrangements added another layer to this evolving dynamic. We moved into a larger house that Robert owned, which meant that Ashley had her own room, while I shared a space with my younger brother. This physical separation felt symbolic. It was as if Ashley had her own little kingdom, while I was left to navigate the shared territory of sibling rivalry. The house was filled with laughter and the sounds of family bonding, but I often felt like an outsider looking in. The emotional impact of being overshadowed by Ashley was profound. I remember feeling invisible during family dinners, where Robert would regale stories of Ashley's accomplishments, her school projects, and her extracurricular activities. Each anecdote felt like a reminder of my own shortcomings, and I couldn't help but compare myself to her. It was as if I was constantly competing for attention and validation, and the more I tried to shine, the more I felt dimmed by her presence. I often found myself retreating to my room, grappling with feelings of inadequacy and jealousy. The initial signs of favoritism were subtle yet powerful, creating a rift in my relationship with both my mother and Robert. I longed for the same level of affection and acknowledgement that Ashley seemed to effortlessly receive. This emotional struggle set the stage for deeper conflicts within our blended family, as I began to question my place in this new arrangement. It was a challenging time, one that would shape my understanding of love, acceptance, and the complexities of family dynamics. Every day brought new reminders of the favoritism that seemed to permeate our blended family, and these experiences often left me feeling isolated and undervalued. One of the most glaring differences was evident during our shopping trips. Whenever my mother and Robert took Ashley and me out, It was clear that Ashley was the favored child. While we would browse through stores, Robert would often pick out clothes and accessories for Ashley, showering her with compliments about how beautiful she looked in everything she tried on. Meanwhile, I would stand by, waiting for my turn, only to receive a quick glance and a casual, "What do you think?" as if my opinion didn't really matter. The contrast was stark. Ashley would leave the store with bags full of new clothes, while I often walked away with just a couple of items, if that. These shopping experiences became a painful reminder of my perceived worth in the family, reinforcing the idea that Ashley was the one who deserved the spotlight. Family meals were another arena where favoritism reared its head. During dinner, Robert would often engage Ashley in conversation, asking her about her day, her friends, and her interests, while I sat quietly, feeling invisible. My mother, Linda, would occasionally try to include me, but the dynamic was already set. I could see the joy in Ashley's eyes as she shared her stories, and it felt as if my contributions were met with polite nods but little enthusiasm. The laughter and warmth that surrounded Ashley only deepened my sense of exclusion. I often found myself picking at my food, feeling dismissed and unimportant, as if my presence at the table was merely an afterthought. The emotional toll of being overlooked during these family interactions was heavy. I began to internalize the belief that I was less deserving of love and attention, leading to feelings of inadequacy that lingered long after the meals ended. I would often retreat to my room, overwhelmed by a sense of loneliness and frustration. The daily reminders of favoritism were not just fleeting moments. They became a constant backdrop to my life, shaping my self-esteem and my relationships with both my step-siblings and my parents. It was a painful realization that, despite being part of a blended family, I often felt more like an outsider than a cherished member of the household. As I navigated life in our blended family, one of the most glaring examples of favoritism emerged through extracurricular activities. Ashley seemed to have an endless array of opportunities at her fingertips, participating in everything from dance classes and soccer teams to art workshops and music lessons. Each week, I would watch as she bounced from one activity to another, her schedule filled with exciting events that showcased her talents and interests. In contrast, my own involvement in extracurriculars felt limited and often dictated by financial constraints. While I had a few activities I enjoyed, such as a local art club and a community soccer team, they paled in comparison to the breadth of Ashley's experiences. The financial disparities in activity enrollment were stark. Robert, with his stable job and willingness to invest in Ashley's passions, ensured she had access to the best programs available. He would often mention how important it was for children to explore their interests and develop their skills, yet those sentiments seemed to apply primarily to Ashley. My mother, on the other hand, was juggling bills and trying to make ends meet, which meant that my opportunities were often limited to what was affordable. I remember feeling a pang of jealousy as Ashley proudly displayed her new dance shoes or shared stories about her latest soccer match, while I struggled to find ways to participate in activities that were within our budget. This disparity in opportunities left me feeling increasingly excluded and frustrated. I longed to join Ashley in her pursuits, to share in the excitement of her achievements, but instead, I felt like I was watching from the sidelines. The more I witnessed her thriving in these activities, the more I questioned my own worth and abilities. I often found myself grappling with feelings of inadequacy, wondering if I was somehow less deserving of these experiences. The emotional toll was significant. I felt trapped in a cycle of comparison, where Ashley's successes only highlighted my perceived failures. As I sat alone during weekends while Ashley attended her various events, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing out on not just activities, but also the bonding moments that came with them. The unequal opportunities in extracurricular activities became a painful reminder of the favoritism that existed within our family, deepening my sense of isolation and frustration. It was a constant struggle to reconcile my desire for connection with the reality of my situation, leaving me yearning for a sense of belonging that felt just out of reach. In the realm of academics, the differences in how our achievements were acknowledged became painfully evident. I had always been a diligent student, consistently earning high grades and accolades for my hard work. My teachers often praised my dedication, and I took pride in my academic success. However, when it came to celebrating these accomplishments at home, the response was starkly different compared to Ashley's experiences. While I excelled in my studies, Ashley struggled to keep up, often facing challenges in her coursework that left her feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. Despite her efforts, she frequently received lower grades, which only seemed to amplify the attention she garnered from our parents. Whenever Ashley brought home a report card, Robert would beam with pride, showering her with compliments and encouragement. He would often say things like, "You'll get it next time, sweetheart," and "let's work on this together." In contrast, when I received my own report cards filled with A's, the response was muted at best. My mother would offer a brief smile and a quick, "good job," but it felt as though my achievements were overshadowed by the focus on Ashley's struggles. The lack of recognition for my hard work was disheartening, and I began to feel as though my efforts were unworthy of celebration. This biased parental attention had a profound impact on my self-esteem. I started to internalize the belief that my accomplishments were insignificant, leading me to question my worth. I would often think, if my grades don't matter to them, do they even matter at all? The more I excelled academically, the more invisible I felt, as if my successes were merely a backdrop to Ashley's narrative of struggle and growth. This imbalance created a sense of frustration within me. I longed for validation and acknowledgement, yet it seemed perpetually out of reach. As I watched Ashley receive the support and encouragement she needed to improve, I couldn't help but feel a sense of resentment. I wanted to be celebrated for my achievements, to have my hard work recognized and valued. Instead, I felt like I was competing for attention in a race I didn't even want to run. The emotional toll of this dynamic was heavy, leaving me grappling with feelings of inadequacy and a longing for the same level of parental engagement that Ashley received. It was a painful reminder that, in a blended family, even academic accomplishments could become a source of division rather than unity. One pivotal moment that changed my perspective occurred on an ordinary afternoon, one that I would never forget. I was sitting in my room, studying for an upcoming exam, when I overheard a conversation between my mother, Linda, and Robert in the living room. At first, I didn't pay much attention, but as their voices grew louder, I couldn't help but listen in. What I heard shook me to my core. Robert was expressing his frustration about my academic success, saying, "It's great that she's doing well, but I just wish she would be more like Ashley. She needs to learn to be more social and less focused on her grades." My heart sank as I realized that my achievements, which I had worked so hard for, were being dismissed as unimportant. Linda, in a softer tone, added, "I know, but she's always been so independent. I just want her to feel included." In that moment, everything shifted for me. I had spent so long seeking approval from my stepparents, hoping that my hard work would earn their recognition and affection. But hearing their true feelings made me realize that no matter how well I performed academically, it would never be enough to gain the validation I craved. Instead of feeling defeated, I experienced a profound emotional shift. I began to understand that my worth was not contingent upon their approval or comparisons to Ashley. This revelation sparked a newfound focus on my personal achievements. I decided to embrace my academic success for myself rather than seeking external validation. I started to celebrate my accomplishments privately, taking pride in the knowledge that I was doing my best for my own sake. I began to set personal goals, not just in academics but in other areas of my life as well. I joined clubs that interested me, pursued hobbies I was passionate about, and sought out friendships that uplifted me. The more I focused on my own journey, the less I felt the weight of favoritism. I realized that my achievements were valid, regardless of how they were perceived by others. This shift in perspective empowered me to take ownership of my identity and self-worth. I learned that family dynamics could be complicated, but my value was not defined by anyone else's opinions. I was determined to forge my own path, one that celebrated my individuality and accomplishments, free from the shadows of comparison. My journey toward independence and self-worth truly began when I landed a job at a local coffee shop. This opportunity was more than just a means to earn some extra money. It became a pivotal stepping stone in my quest for self-identity. Working at the coffee shop allowed me to step outside the confines of my blended family dynamics and immerse myself in a world where my contributions were valued. From the moment I started, I felt a sense of belonging that had often eluded me at home. The bustling atmosphere, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, and the camaraderie among coworkers created an environment that was both invigorating and supportive. At the coffee shop, I was surrounded by a team that genuinely appreciated my hard work and dedication. My manager frequently recognized my efforts, praising my ability to connect with customers and handle busy shifts with grace. This acknowledgement was a refreshing contrast to the indifference I often felt at home. Each time I received positive feedback, it reinforced my sense of self-worth and reminded me that my contributions mattered. I began to take pride in my work, celebrating small victories like mastering the art of latte foam or receiving compliments from regular customers. These moments of recognition fueled my confidence and motivated me to strive for excellence. However, the contrast between my achievements at work and the dynamics within my family was stark. While I was thriving in my job, my home life remained fraught with feelings of inadequacy and favoritism. At the coffee shop, I was seen for who I was, a hardworking individual with unique talents. While at home, I often felt overshadowed by Ashley's struggles and the attention she received. This disparity became increasingly apparent as I navigated my dual existence. I found myself grappling with the realization that my family did not fully appreciate my accomplishments, yet I was flourishing in an environment that celebrated my individuality. As I continued to grow in my role at the coffee shop, I began to understand the importance of self-worth that was independent of external validation. I learned to define my success on my own terms, recognizing that my value was not contingent upon my family's approval. This journey toward independence empowered me to embrace my identity, cultivate my passions, and build a life that reflected my true self. I realized that while family dynamics could be challenging, my experiences outside of that sphere were shaping me into a confident and self-assured individual, ready to carve out my own path in the world. My relationship with my grandparents has always been a source of warmth and comfort, a stark contrast to the complexities of my blended family. I vividly remember the first time I met them after my mother remarried. They welcomed me with open arms, their faces lighting up with joy as they enveloped me in tight hugs. It was as if they had been waiting for this moment, eager to embrace their granddaughter and shower me with affection. Their home was filled with the comforting sense of home-cooked meals and the sound of laughter, creating an atmosphere that felt safe and nurturing. In that moment, I felt a sense of belonging that I had been yearning for, a feeling that was often elusive in my day-to-day life. As I spent more time with my grandparents, I quickly realized that they were not just loving figures. They were also my biggest supporters. They took a genuine interest in my life, asking about my schoolwork, my job at the coffee shop, and my hobbies. Whenever I shared my achievements, whether big or small, they celebrated with enthusiasm, making me feel like I was the center of their universe. Their encouragement was unwavering, and they often reminded me of my strengths and potential. "You can do anything you set your mind to," my grandmother would say, her eyes sparkling with pride. This emotional support was a balm for my soul, especially during times when I felt overlooked or undervalued at home. The impact of this relationship on my self-esteem was profound. With my grandparents, I felt seen and appreciated for who I was, not just in comparison to others. Their belief in me helped to counteract the feelings of inadequacy that often crept in when I was with my stepfamily. I began to internalize their encouragement, which fostered a growing sense of self-worth. I learned to embrace my individuality and recognize my achievements as valid and meaningful. This bond with my grandparents became a cornerstone of my identity, providing me with the emotional resilience I needed to navigate the challenges of my family dynamics. Their love and support instilled in me a belief that I was deserving of happiness and success, regardless of how others perceived me. As I continued to grow, I carried their lessons with me, using their unwavering faith in my abilities as a foundation upon which to build my self-esteem and pursue my dreams. In a world that often felt uncertain, my relationship with my grandparents became a beacon of hope and affirmation, guiding me toward a brighter future. My academic journey culminated in a moment that would forever change my life. my acceptance into Princeton University. The news arrived on a crisp spring morning, and as I read the acceptance letter, a wave of disbelief washed over me. I had worked tirelessly throughout high school, pouring my heart and soul into my studies, and this achievement felt like the ultimate validation of my efforts. Gaining admission to such a prestigious institution was not just a personal triumph. It represented the culmination of years of hard work, resilience, and determination. It was a dream I had nurtured for as long as I could remember, and now it was finally within my grasp. However, the reactions from my stepparents were starkly contrasting. When I shared the news with Robert and Linda, I was met with a lukewarm response. Robert offered a brief congratulatory remark, but his eyes quickly shifted to Ashley, who had just returned from a difficult day at school. Linda, while supportive, seemed preoccupied with managing the family dynamics, focusing more on Ashley's struggles than my accomplishments. It was disheartening to realize that my significant achievement was overshadowed by the ongoing challenges within our blended family. In that moment, I felt the familiar pang of disappointment, but this time, it was different. Instead of allowing their reactions to diminish my joy, I chose to celebrate my success on my own terms. This experience marked a turning point in my personal growth and newfound confidence. I began to understand that my worth was not defined by the approval of my stepparents or the comparisons to Ashley. I had earned my place at Princeton through my dedication and hard work, and that was something to be proud of, regardless of how others perceived it. I started to embrace my achievements as milestones in my journey, recognizing that they were a reflection of my capabilities and aspirations. As I prepared for this next chapter in my life, I felt a surge of empowerment. I was no longer the girl seeking validation from a family that struggled to appreciate her accomplishments. Instead, I was a young woman ready to carve out her own path, fueled by the belief that I could achieve anything I set my mind to. My acceptance into Princeton became a symbol of my resilience and determination, a reminder that I was capable of greatness. This newfound confidence propelled me forward, inspiring me to embrace the challenges ahead with an open heart and an unwavering spirit. I was ready to step into my future, proud of who I was and excited for what lay ahead. Graduation day arrived, a moment I had anticipated for years, and it was filled with a whirlwind of emotions. As I donned my cap and gown, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was not just a ceremony. It was a celebration of my hard work, resilience, and the culmination of my academic journey. As I walked across the stage to receive my diploma, I could hear the cheers of my friends and family, but I also felt a twinge of anxiety about how my stepparents would react to my achievements. When I spotted Robert and Linda in the crowd, I hoped for a moment of pride, a glimmer of acknowledgement for all I had accomplished. However, their reaction was surprisingly subdued. While they clapped politely, their attention quickly shifted to Ashley, who had just completed her own high school journey, albeit with less fanfare. Robert leaned over to Linda, whispering words of encouragement to Ashley, who looked visibly anxious about her own future. It was a stark reminder of the ongoing favoritism that had colored our family dynamics. While I was celebrating a significant milestone, Ashley's struggles seemed to overshadow my moment, and I felt a pang of disappointment. Despite this, I chose to focus on my own celebration. Surrounded by friends who had supported me throughout my academic journey, I felt a profound sense of validation. My achievements were not diminished by the lack of enthusiasm from my stepparents. Instead, they became a testament to my hard work and determination. I reveled in the joy of the day, sharing laughter and memories with those who truly understood the effort I had put in to reach this point. This graduation marked a pivotal moment in my journey toward independence. I realized that my self-worth was no longer tied to the approval of my stepparents or the comparisons to Ashley. I had carved out my own path, and this achievement was a reflection of my dedication and perseverance. As I celebrated with friends, I felt a surge of confidence and empowerment. I was ready to embrace the next chapter of my life, equipped with the knowledge that I could achieve my dreams on my own terms. In that moment, I understood that my journey was uniquely mine, and I was proud of the person I had become. Graduation was not just an end. It was a powerful beginning, a launchpad into a future filled with possibilities. I left the ceremony with a heart full of hope and a renewed sense of independence, ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. Transitioning to college life marked a significant turning point in my journey toward independence and self-discovery. Moving into my dorm was both exhilarating and daunting. I was finally away from the complexities of my blended family, and the freedom of living on my own was intoxicating. My new living situation was a cozy room shared with a roommate who quickly became a close friend. The walls were adorned with posters of our favorite bands and quotes that inspired us, creating a space that felt like a sanctuary. For the first time, I had the autonomy to shape my environment and routines, and I relished the opportunity to make decisions that reflected my own preferences. As I settled into college life, I was fortunate to form supportive friendships that became a cornerstone of my experience. My classmates were diverse, each bringing unique perspectives and backgrounds, and I found myself surrounded by individuals who were equally passionate about their studies and aspirations. We bonded over late-night study sessions, shared meals in the dining hall, and engaged in deep conversations about our dreams and fears. These friendships provided a sense of belonging that I had longed for, and they encouraged me to embrace my individuality. Together, we celebrated each other's successes, whether it was acing a difficult exam or landing an internship, creating a nurturing environment that fostered growth and collaboration. With this newfound support system, my aspirations began to take shape more clearly. I was determined to make the most of my college experience, not just academically but also personally. I envisioned a future where I could combine my passion for writing with my desire to make a difference in the world. I started exploring opportunities in journalism and creative writing, eager to hone my skills and share my voice. My professors recognized my potential and encouraged me to pursue internships that would provide real-world experience, further fueling my ambition. As I navigated this exciting new chapter, I felt a sense of empowerment that I had never experienced before. I was no longer defined by the dynamics of my family. Instead, I was carving out my own identity and future. The independence I gained in college allowed me to dream bigger and pursue goals that resonated with my true self. I was ready to embrace the challenges ahead, armed with the knowledge that I had the strength and support to achieve my aspirations. College was not just an academic journey. It was a transformative experience that set the stage for a fulfilling and purpose-driven life. Reflecting on my journey, I realized that it has been a profound exploration of self-worth, resilience, and the importance of supportive relationships. From navigating the complexities of a blended family to achieving academic success and transitioning into college life, each experience has shaped my understanding of who I am and what I value. Throughout this journey, I learned that my self-worth is not defined by the approval of others, especially within family dynamics that can often be fraught with favoritism and comparison. Instead, I discovered the power of embracing my individuality and celebrating my achievements, no matter how small they may seem. Finding supportive relationships has been a crucial aspect of my growth. The friendships I formed in college provided me with a sense of belonging that I had longed for, allowing me to thrive in an environment where my voice was heard and valued. These connections reminded me that I am not alone in my struggles and aspirations. We all have our unique paths, and sharing them can foster understanding and encouragement. I encourage you, the viewers, to reflect on your own family dynamics and relationships. Consider how they shape your self-perception and aspirations. Are there moments where you feel overshadowed or undervalued? Recognizing these feelings is the first step toward reclaiming your narrative and embracing your worth. As I continue to navigate my journey, I invite you to join me in exploring more stories and insights that resonate with our shared experiences. There is so much to learn from one another, and I believe that by sharing our stories, we can create a community that uplifts and empowers. If you found value in my journey, I encourage you to subscribe for more content that delves into the complexities of family dynamics, personal growth, and the pursuit of dreams. Together, we can foster a space where we celebrate our achievements, support one another, and inspire each other to embrace our true selves. Remember, your journey is uniquely yours, and it deserves to be honored and shared. Thank you for being part of this experience, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you as we explore the many facets of life, love, and self-discovery.